Hi everybody. Welcome to our 10th lecture in the Strathmore Speaker Series here in the Firebarn. I'm Mary Beth Horsington and I want to thank you for coming tonight. We're really excited about this lecture, but before I introduce our speakers, I'd like to take care of a few details. First, I want to thank our sponsors. This series was made possible by a startup grant from the Gifford Foundation, as well as donations from individuals like you. We raised funds through a Strathmore Artisans Craft Sale in November, which we hope you'll attend and support. More information about that will be forthcoming. We also want to recognize the Greater Strathmore Neighborhood Association, the Syracuse Department of Parks and Recreation, and our committee volunteers. Courtney Black, Patty Black, Brenda Brush, Diana Hogue, Dave Kane, Sean Kirst, Glenn Lewis, Cindy Long, Nancy Wolcott, and myself. We hope you'll visit our website. It's strathmorespeakers.com. We also have a Facebook page where you'll find updated information. We do graciously accept donations. You can leave your donation over here on the table, over here by the stairs. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our listserv and we'll send you reminders about upcoming lectures. There will be a 30-minute Q&A after the lecture today, so feel free to raise your hand and ask a question. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers. Ed Riley and Katerina Spilio are here to tell us about their restoration of one of our city's most famous and treasured landmarks, Hotel Syracuse. For so long, this beautiful building languished, and like so many other projects in our city, we grew discouraged that it would never be restored to its former beauty and vitality. There is so much history in that building, and bringing it back to life says something profound about how much we value the cultural DNA of our landmarks. The restoration of Hotel Syracuse is also restoring our community psyche. We are so proud of this effort and grateful for the enormous amount of work, talent, and money that has been invested in this endeavor. Ed Riley is a Syracuse native who graduated from Onondaga Community College and Syracuse University School of Architecture. He has 40 years of experience in design, construction, real estate development, and hotel operations. So we are thrilled that he decided to return home to undertake the renovation of our most cherished namesake hotel. In order to do this, Ed resigned from his post as Senior Vice President for Design, Construction, and Real Estate for Pyramid Hotel Group. Ed previously worked on several restoration projects in Armory Square, so we have living examples of the quality and scope of his work. Katerina Spilio is a native of Athens, Greece. She emigrated to the U.S. when she was 4 and settled in New York City with her family. While still in high school, she began an apprenticeship in Byzantine iconography with her father and continued her studies at NYU. At NYU, the London Institute, and the New York City Art Students League. She also holds a bachelor's degree in English from Pace University. Katerina is part of the Byzantine Icons Studio, where she creates original artwork ranging from 25-foot murals to 5-inch miniatures. Her work is represented in private collections across the U.S., England, and Greece. And now her work will have a special place in Syracuse, New York. It is my pleasure and honor to present Ed Riley and Katerina Spilio.
Good evening, and thank you very much. Kat will be up second. I get to, do the honors to lead off tonight. But I did want to start with a little bit of a story because this is a little bit of a homecoming for me to a certain degree. My first job ever with the Parks Department in the city of Syracuse was in Onondaga Lake Park down here, the swimming pool. And it was a lake at that time. We used to open it up, if you remember, and let the water come in. Yeah, I just dated myself pretty good right there. And they had canoes too, and I had to deal with that on a regular basis. So being a nice young kid, and all excited that I got my first, job, and, I'm going to work at a pool, and I was a swimmer and all this stuff, I get on my bus and I go downtown and I transfer and I get on the next bus and I'm riding away, going, and there's nothing but Liverpool and Onondaga Lake. And I turned to the bus driver and I said, so where's the pool here anyway? He looks at me and he says, you're on the wrong bus, buddy. First day I show up for work, come back down, An hour late, needless to say, made a great impression, right, starting off the bat. So still asked me back. Well, thank you very much. And, we have a presentation tonight. I'll do the first part of it. I won't get into too much detail in terms of the artwork restoration and how we did things, because really that's Kat's end of the world. And the two of us have been working shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the design team to get this done. I think there's a couple things you should know about the project and about folks that are involved. We have a great team. Nobody does this alone. There's a tremendous amount of people from the city, the county, the state, my consultants that we have that have all basically they've taken this on not just as a project, but as a project with a purpose, and that means a tremendous amount to our team. We do that all the way through the construction personnel. I had a young man walk up to me yesterday when I was walking the building, and he works for a company called PWF, and I'll show you some of their handiwork in a little while. But, he just walks up to me, he says, Mr. Riley, he says, I just want to tell you, I'm honored that I'm getting to work on this project. It's just a great project for the community. I'm glad our company's here. I'm glad I'm the guy installing it. And that's sort of become the mantra for what's going on down there. It is a passion to a lot of people. I think you'll see that in what we're talking about tonight. And bringing it back has been a great effort. It's been a great community effort. It's been teamwork. And we're very excited that within the next few weeks on the 4th of June, we host OHA for the gala to retire the Hotel Syracuse. That's what I call it. It's the retirement party. She's been around for 90 some years. We're going to give her some time off. And then on July 4th, we're going to open as the Marriott Syracuse Downtown. A new generation to come into it, a new future for the hotel, and one that's very bright, and one that will be around for quite a while, because bringing the Marriott name brings all the reservation systems, the quality, the things that killed the hotel before will now be addressed on a regular basis. And again, I say this, none of this would happen without great community involvement and you folks. The hotel originally was a community hotel. It started in 1924 when it was the Hotel Syracuse Corporation, and continued that way until the late 1960s. This is a rendering of the outside. Right now, I can tell you it's a little inaccurate, because if you've seen the building, all of our terracotta work at the top has been cleaned, and it's a bright white. So it's come back really well. The brick is pretty close, but the main thing here is you'll notice the bridge is gone between the 80s addition and this building. We have restored the street, or will be restoring the street back to the original entrance. The original entrance was off of East Onondaga Street, which is right here, and that'll be where you enter the hotel. That'll be where you're dropped off for valet parking. It'll be how you'll get into the project itself. And a lot of what you see in this rendering are, in fact, what is going on. You'll see trees and a planted area at the prow. That'll be for outdoor dining during the few weeks that we have of good weather, that I tell people. The secondary entrance on Warren Street, which has acted as the main entrance for quite a few years, will go back to its original place in the hotel, which according to the drawings was called the carriage entrance, giving a little bit idea of the age of the hotel and where it was about. And then we've also moving the curbs out throughout the building in different areas to really get back to a little bit of softer and some softscape and landscape around it. I like to have this picture in. Obviously it was not the Marriott back then. I don't want to try to do that, but this was a little photoshopping we did for our Christmas card this year to celebrate it. But this shows a little bit about the detail that used to be there on the hotel. This is the part of the original canopy systems that were on there. There were 4 of these on the hotel. All 4 are being restored. The originals were pretty much gone. We're not going to restore the car. We can't find it, and the people are the same way. So that's what was restored and what is currently there right now, and you can see the similarities. And that's the company PWF that I just spoke to you about. And the other part of this is over 85% of this project, actually I think it's over 90 right now, is being done by local companies and local people. We have a couple of major trades, Cat's trade being one with the artwork and restoration that we have that has to be out of town. There just isn't the experts, but even with that group, they've done enough work in this area that they've now developed a stable of painters and plasterers that can come in and supplement their forces and be taught what's going on. So all this is being done really, for the most part, with local people and local resources. This is a site plan of the project, and just to get you oriented in terms of where we are, this is Onondaga Street, this is Warren Street, this is Harrison Street in Salina. The corner, this is the historic building right here. The 80s addition is in this location, and there was a bridge across here which I said we've removed. The main entrance will be right here. That'll be where people are dropped off. The curbs and roads around the entire building, on all of the front of the building, are being relocated. We're moving things around. We're doing that to get landscaping in front of the building and to activate the corners. We want to activate the prow. The area that you see right here is actually the outdoor seating. It'll also have a small fireplace out there to sit around. At this corner, that is also cafe seating, so we wanted to pull the curbs out to get additional space to activate that. And then the last part of this is to go through and hardscape and landscape Onondaga so that we have a front door. To a lot of people that come here, and we have the designation as the headquarters hotel for the convention center. That is how our community is going to be perceived. So this is our front door. We wanted to make sure that it is the right message that we're sending from square one to go all the way through. A couple facts about the building. It was built in 1922 to 1924. That's particularly interesting because that's from the ground up. They put the shovel in the ground in 1922 and they opened it almost 24 months later. Given the detail, the amount of brick, the terracotta, the systems, and the lack of mechanical equipment that they had in the 1920s, that's quite an achievement. So you can think about how many people were there. It's not a small old girl, as I call her. She's got 473,000 square feet, almost 500,000 square foot within this building. That's both been a blessing and a curse over her lifetime, as they say. It's a 12-story building. It's a little weird the way they do floors there. The first floor or ground floor is really G, and then the lobby is L, and then it goes to 2. So really the second floor is the third. Confuses a few people. But we finally got it ironed out on the elevators to get those in the right places. Our architect, though, when he started, did miss a floor. He thought the second floor was the lobby, and I said, we're counting rooms. Where did the floor go? When did you delete it in this whole thing? The architect was George B. Post and Sons, New York. Now, George Post was involved in this project very early on, but passed away. His oldest son actually did the design of it and followed it through. And it's important to note that the Post architectural firm did a tremendous amount of work for the Statler family. The coffin doors / servidors that you hear so much about and see, which are being preserved throughout the building, were actually a Statler staple that was invented by the Statler family. So they would have those in all their hotels. A sister to this hotel is in Buffalo, which is the Statler in Buffalo. And there's another sister to this, the Olympic Hotel in Seattle, Washington. So they were a national firm. They followed the major hotel chains around. And one of the things that George Post is credited with doing is a very simple thing of putting the bathrooms within the guest rooms and stacking the guest rooms over each other. We do it automatically now. He actually came up with the idea with the Statlers to get it done. The original cost was $7 million. And think about that. The original mortgage was $3.6 million. That covered our roof renovations and new roofing, just to keep us dry. When we're all said and done, we'll be over $71 million. I'll have a budget meeting tomorrow, and after that I'll have a lot less hair. Not that I have that much now, but we're getting there. We're almost done, so I don't think they're going to shock me much anymore with where we're going. But in doing that renovation cost, that's effectively a totally restored building with brand new guest rooms, a brand new and a very modern and contemporary IAC meeting and convention center, and a ballroom. All new mechanicals. Think about the fact that you're building a building from the inside out. Mechanically and electrically, the electric panels that we took out of that building were from Krauss-Heinz. They were done in the 1920s. They were slate with exposed copper bus bars. And they were still being used. Amazing. So that's just some of the work that we are doing on it. The original rooms in this hotel, think about it, were 610. I like to tell people that if a Syracuse University basketball player was sleeping in one of these rooms, his head would be on one wall, his feet would be on the other. That's how small they were. The original hotel had one ballroom. Contrary to what people think, the Persian Terrace was originally the terrace room. And that was the supper club for the hotel. So that was where people went to celebrate, to dance, to dine, but was not really used for social catering. It was more of a revenue enhancing type of venue in there. And it stayed that way for quite a few years, and then eventually was converted over to the Persian Terrace when they painted the Persian mural and changed the color scheme. Now, our restoration brings that back to the original 1924 look of that room, which is quite a bit different than the Persian theme that they put in there in the late 1930s. Originally 2 restaurants. They had the terrace room, and probably one of the most successful restaurants in Syracuse for many, many years was the Dutch Coffee House, and it was the Hotel Syracuse cafeteria. That was off of Harrison Street. It was half diner, half restaurant, and really survived until a place called the Library was built there back in those days. If people remember that, I was kicked out of there a couple times. So, ballrooms, when we're done, will be 3. We'll have 261 rooms with 60 in the future. We're not doing the 2nd floor, and we're not doing part of the 3rd floor. The reason being is the hotel sunk under its own weight before. If you build the rooms, you got to keep them up. You've got to heat and cool them. You got to keep them clean. You got to keep them ready for the 3 nights a year that somebody shows up and goes in there. We want to make sure that we have the proper balance. One of the things that I espoused early on in this project, and I continue to do this, is financial sustainability of this project. I would not have taken it on just as a labor of love to get it done just because it's an icon. It has to work as a business. This has to stay open for another 90 years as far as I'm concerned. We're putting the money into it to give it the kit of parts. Therefore, it has to work as a business, and it does. Because of the grants we got, because of the funding, the way it was structured, our basis in this hotel, is good. It's sound. I mean, if you're in any way, shape, or form into financials and you say $71 million, 261 rooms, it doesn't make any sense. You're not in Boston, New York. You're 100% right. It doesn't. Without the amount of support that we've gotten in grants, that we've gotten in terms of the historic tax credits and our historic tax credit investor, this project wouldn't have happened. It's just that simple. So it is a community hotel. It still is a community hotel. And we very seriously take that into account when we do everything and every decision that's made in this hotel. For instance, and just a little bit of an update on this, we're out hiring right now. We offered last week about 100 positions for housekeeping, food and beverage, also our wait staff in the back of house and the front of house in the hotel. Of that, almost every person that was offered a job was in the neighborhoods surrounding this hotel. So the near south, the near west, and the near north sides. And out of that, over 90% of those people were unemployed or underemployed. So we consider that to be a tremendous amount. When we're done, we will have 3 ballrooms. The Grand Ballroom up on 10, everyone knows that. It's pretty iconic. I think it'll be more that way. The Persian Terrace will remain the Persian Terrace and also be another of our major social catering and very popular with brides and those type of events. And our last ballroom, which was done in the 1980s, was originally the Imperial Ballroom. It's now called the Finger Lakes Ballroom. And the reason we're doing that is, again, to bring our spotlight back on our community. Imperial really doesn't tell anything about us. Finger Lakes does. We're at the edge of the Finger Lakes. We also, our restaurant on the first floor will be called 11 Waters. 11 Waters is the 11 Finger Lakes, and we'll showcase and spotlight New York State wines there. So we're trying to, any turn of the page, so to speak, keep our community involved and showcase what we can do as a community to everyone that comes and visits us and talks to us. And there, again, restaurants, I went to 2 of them, or 3 restaurants total. We have Finger Lakes, the 11 Waters is one. The second is our sports pub bar, Shaughnessy's. Quick story about Shaughnessy's. The name comes from my first Irish setter from many years ago. He liked to drink beer. It's the only one I have. So I figured as a tip of the hat, I would let him have his name on something. Actually, I can say that one of the first Irish setters I dealt with on a consistent basis was actually over here. He used to come, he lived across the street from the pool. He used to come down every night, right around when the lifeguards finished eating, and he'd clean up everything every night. So it was a good deal all the way down. This is the first floor plan or ground floor plan for the hotel. This is what we call the IAC Conference Center right here, and what the IAC Technology Meeting Rooms. So an event like this could easily fit into one of those rooms. They're all different sizes. They have different layouts to them, but they're all very high technology. We already have several major events booked, one of which, for instance, is the New York State Attorney General's office is doing their training for a bunch of attorneys here in Syracuse. They haven't been here in quite a few years, and they decided to come back when they saw our facilities. So that's one of the first groups that'll be in here. So that's the type of impact that we're getting to book into here. It'll have its own entrance right in this location. So if you come here for either the Finger Lakes Ballroom or a meeting, you can come directly in, not go into the hotel proper, go up a new open staircase up to the ballroom, or go directly into the meeting spaces themselves, and it's self-contained. With an IAC center, it has to be self-contained. So the food and beverage, the breakout, all that happens right in there. Between the 80s edition, which is in this location, and the main historic hotel here, is a little thing called the Rainbow Lounge. People have read about that. That was actually done in the late 1930s. It was modeled after the Rainbow Room down in New York City. It was totally destroyed and it was totally demolished. It became Coach Max and some other things, the tap room. We actually have the drawings for that, and we're restoring it. We're rebuilding the bar. It'll be a replica. But that'll be a private room again for a group like this that wanted to celebrate something or break out from the IAC Meeting Center itself as we go through. Off of our main entrance, located right in this location, to the left is 11 Waters, and then coming up the main stairs you go to the lobby. In back of 11 Waters right here, originally we thought we were going to put the men's and ladies rooms. There was a couple there. We sort of did some demolition work, and this is what the construction team absolutely loves about me. We took the walls down and we found out that the old barber shop was in back of the walls. So we said, we're going to put the bathroom somewhere else while we're building this. Hence, they love me so much. And we're going to make the barber shop our bar for 11 Waters. So when you go in, there'll be a bar there. You'll see the old barber's mirrors. You'll see the utensils and everything there, and you'll be able to have a drink before you go in and have your meal. So it's just something we wanted to play off on. With that, back again before we go. Continuing around the building, we've talked about the outside prow area. That's where our outdoor seating is. In this location, this is the Warren Street entrance, and right here, we did sign up a barber shop. So we will have a barber shop, and I get this asked all the time, so the barber has agreed also to have a shoe shining. Something that's coming back. In this location right here, next to the other side of the Warren Street entrance, will be our grab-and-go coffee shop. And this is another example of our commitment to the community. Cafe Cabal will be our grab-and-go. We had a Starbucks deal and we said, let's do something local and go from there. So for you Starbucks lovers, you can throw things at me now if you love. In the corner right here is Shaughnessy's, and again, the cafe seating around the corner. And in this location right here with the sort of the reddish color, that's actually our community room. And that is something, again, of giving back to this project to the community. That's an area that nonprofit groups can come in, they can reserve it. They can have a meeting like this at no cost. It's set up by the hotel. If you want catering, we are going to charge for it, but it'll be at a reduced rate. We'll tell you that up front. So it'll also be an area where you see these offices when you come in off that our HR department will be. So once we're up and running, anyone that wants to get a job at the hotel, because we'll have a lot of turnover and comings and goings, will be able to walk in, they'll be able to put an application in and talk to somebody right off the bat. So it's, again, something to interact ourselves back in. And then the balance of this is back of the house, which we all know and love, we've got to have. 11 Waters, just some slides on it. It's being constructed right now. It'll be open for the July 4th opening of the Marriott. It's again themed on the Finger Lakes theme. You can see a little bit about the tiles. It's a bistro style restaurant. It's not going to have white tablecloths. It's going to be very informal, but also have a little bit of a kick to it. It's got a great menu. Chef Tom has been working on it now for the better part of 6 months, and I have to tell you, he's come up with some very, very good local foods. We've got, I get asked this one too. Yes, there will be GNLA sausage. And yes, there'll be salt potatoes. And yes, I love conies, so they're going to be there too. But it also has quite a bit of other type of venues and experiences for us. This is the plan. It is a big restaurant. It has to feed the whole house, as they call it.
And with that, you can see that most of the seating is located all the way on the perimeter so that people get to interact with the streetscape out and see what's going on in an urban environment. The kitchen is in the center. This is a private dining for private events, and when we have big groups in the house, we'll just seat them in there to go through. So it's set up, it's about 240 seats during the winter and colder months, and then there's an additional 60 seats out in this area to sit and eat, have a cocktail, and also sit by our fireplace. Shaughnessy's. This is it. So, no, my Shaughnessy never looked that way. He was never that innocent. So this is a little bit of the inside. Again, an Irish pub flair. Picking up on that theme. Relatively simple. They'll have concrete floors. The ceiling is going to be a metal ceiling similar to this. Really talk about the pictures, and you'll be able to see some pictures. We're doing a family tree on Shaughnessy and the whole group that we have. So. And this is the layout. You can see right now we have a very large bar, and then we have seating and another private dining room and our kitchen in this location. So, the thing that's interesting about this is below this space right here is our boiler room from the original 1920s. And when I say original, it's original. We call it the Titanic room. So looking at it. They were coal-fired boilers, and they shoveled coal into them and the whole 9 yards. And the gentlemen that did that were not allowed in the hotel. They had their own entrance. When we went to do the plumbing for the bar, there's a little problem in the fact that it's up about 2 stories because these things are about 32 feet high, and they're having a heck of a time getting around all the pipes and everything. So we gave them a little bit of a challenge, but they're doing that right now pretty well. This is the entrance. This shows you a little bit about the work that's going on. Actually, this has already been restored and opened up. This piece of scaffolding that does this side of the building on Harrison Street, this is the corner of Warren and Harrison, is actually coming down next week, and we're off of Warren Street. So from an exterior standpoint, the entire outside of the building, all the terracotta is being cleaned, it's being repointed, it's being repaired, all the joints are being redone, they're resoldered and or soft joints. So the outside of this building throughout will be totally put back almost to the same level of care that it was when it was originally built. As far as the windows are concerned, the windows at this level are the original wood windows from the 1920s. They were very well taken care of because they had a lot of ladders, as you can see right here, that could reach them. Unfortunately, the windows that are up on the grand ballroom on the 12th floor didn't fare so well. So they didn't have a ladder long enough, so they got painted once over 90 years. So they weren't doing very well. This is a shot of the bridge, the infamous bridge that went across. And this is actually not even how it looks today because now we have gotten rid of the crane after a few months. All this has been demolished out, and the new curbing goes in next week, and 2 days after that they're going to be paving. So they filled the hole where they rammed the bridge into the old building. That's been backed up with block, and then all the terracotta that you see here, including the figures and all the decorative elements, has all been reproduced by a company in California. There's only 2 companies that do it, one in Long Island, one in California. The folks in California were not the cheapest or closest, but they were the ones that could meet our time frame to get this done. The other folks would tell us that we'd probably get our terracotta next year, not this year. So we went with where we could get it. It's all on site, and it should be going up this week. Let's put it this way, it better be going up. And this shows a little bit more of what it does look like today. We have changed the outside of the 80s edition, where the Imperial was, now Finger Lakes. We changed that to more of a terracotta color it's very close actually. Hard in this picture to see what's up on the clean terracotta here. That'll be carried around, so this building will not be fighting with the historic building. It'll be a complement to it, which is what we wanted to do. This is the main lobby level, one of our 2 big levels, this and the grand ballroom, or the ballroom floor up above. But this shows the Persian Terrace in this location. The lobby, check-in, coming up the main stairs here. This is where the mural is on the back of the check-in desk. There used to be a wall right at this location, and in front of that was the bar for the hotel. That's been taken out. The original configuration now for this lobby goes all the way through to the corner, so you can see out this door and window onto the corner of Warren and Onondaga Streets. This location, this was the original high tea and soda room. If you believe that, that was during Prohibition. I'm sure they had soda. And in this location, we've actually knocked the wall out here because when we removed the bridge that used to come across, there was no way to get from the lobby through there. So we opened this up so people that are in our lobby will be able to go through, right through this location and into the Finger Lakes Ballroom. So a whole different way of circulating, but much more efficient and keeps everybody within the context of the building. But more importantly, it allows us to restore the outside facade that's onto Onondaga Street. This is the mural. This was commissioned in 1948 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the incorporation of the city of Syracuse. And it's a pictorial history of our community. It was hidden behind mirrors. A wall was fabricated in front of it. The good news is when we pulled it down, the wall, they didn't do a lot of damage to it. It has been restored. We've had an artist there. Kat can touch on a little bit of that for you. But that's been fully restored and it's being coated right now. The other part of this picture, which is very interesting, is the original check-in desk. And you'll see the supports here with the mirrors. You also see the stone that's on here. This is our purple stone, the purple colored stone that we have. And underneath that is our Botticelli marble, which is a lighter colored marble. This desk is being rebuilt and replicated to look just like this. So when you come check in, you'll see this, not the old heavy wooden desk that was there. I don't think that we're going to have the cigarette advertising there. I think that'll probably go down with it. This is what they had painted it to. This shows that the heavy check-in desk, which was not typical of what was put in. Everything up in the ceilings was painted white. We did have all the original chandeliers in the lobby and also up on the grand ballroom floor. Those were restored off-site, brought back. They look gorgeous. They go through a very extensive process. One of the processes they showed me is they could take off, and they're sandblasting machines, they can take off ink on a piece of paper and not tear the paper. And that's what they did when they went through and found the original patina and the original finishes. They got down to that point and in most cases restored those finishes, didn't just repaint over those. This is what it looks like closer to today. You can start to see the desk is being put in the lower area. It now has all the trellis work on top of it, and we'll be finishing that this week. Actually, the inside part of the desk is being finished tomorrow, Saturday, and then on next week they'll start to put the computer terminals and the like in for our check-in desk. But Kat will get you more detail of what went on in the ceilings. But this gives an idea that this whole plaster ceiling system had a lot of color to it. It all looked like carved wood and wood dentils up there. And then this also, what we found out was once you look at what's in the ceiling in the color palette and you look at the mural, they actually do work together. It's not a clash, so it worked out pretty well. So this is a little bit dated. Sorry I couldn't get a newer one today, but we ran out a little bit of time. And this shows back looking towards the front, towards the elevator lobby. Here are the elevators, and you're standing actually where the wall used to be and where the bar used to be for the lobby itself. So much larger, more spacious lobby. One of the reasons we wanted to do that is the Persian Terrace, because it was not a social catering room, didn't have any pre-function space. So we want to give that pre-function space. So if you come to an event there, you can have your cocktail hour in that location with this type of furnishings and then move over to the Persian Terrace. This is a citrus slide from about 1937, 38. Shows very similar to the way that we're going to be restoring the lobby, which has been done now. We've already moved this, taken this wall out. We have these rugs on order. Actually, they're in town. And some of the custom pieces that you see here, these large table pieces, are actually being reproduced by Stickley. Another one of our partners in this has been Stickley Audi, and Mrs. Audi's been a great partner for us. And they came in from photographs, have custom built tables for this area, and also have done some other custom pieces for us. They're also, through their contract division, furnishing the rooms. And so we feel really proud that we've got that furniture manufacturing involved. And that's not the only one that we have. We found a lot of interesting chairs that were around here. And Greg Harden came in to see me and wanted some business. And I had one with 3 legs, and it wasn't in very good shape, and it looked pretty bad. And he says, well, you know what? He says, I'll take that. You won't recognize it when I bring it back. And lo and behold, he showed up 2 weeks later, and it looked great, all restored, and had nice fabric on it. And I said, hey, be careful what you wish for. I had a chair pile downstairs. It was about 20 by 20 by about 10 foot high. So have at it. So what we're doing is a lot of those chairs are coming back restored, and we're going to use those for seating in the lobby. We're going to use that for seating in the lounge areas, and also for some seating in the elevator lobby. So they call me the great recycler around the place right now, so I'm certainly worried about it. This is a quick rendering of the lobby itself, how it will look. The furnishings, the tables, and the wood elements are much more traditional. When we get into the upholstery, we try to pick it up to more modern, so it gives you an idea of how it will look at the end of the day when it's finished. And this shows you the length going across to the main entrance. Again, no furnishings, but you can see here some of the ceiling and some of the decoration that's going on in that space. This shows which will be the lobby lounge, the bar area. All these wood columns that you see are all being done locally by Thresh, and they are taken off the old drawings from the 1920s. So they're all being put back in and put together. We've opened up this side, and probably the biggest thing, probably the biggest thing here is all these windows were covered with that bridge that went along the outside of the building. Now we get natural light in the building, so it makes it a much nicer space to be in. And this is how our lobby lounge will look when it's all said and done. Hopefully within a couple of weeks. And this is the M Club, which is the mezzanine above the bar area. And this is for the private Marriott frequent stayers that run around. It will also be used, and we won't say this too loud, for Marriott for special groups. They don't like it when we give out that space. This is the Persian Terrace, and this is when it was the Persian Terrace with the Persian mural. The Persian mural didn't survive, to be very honest with you. It's there. It's buried behind 2 layers of oil-based paint, and it's also had wall covering over it. It would just be a real Herculean feat to try to bring that back. And quite frankly, the colors are very, very cartoonish to a certain degree, given that time period when it was done. And it doesn't meet with really the sophistication of the ceiling and of the paintings that you see in the ceiling. This was a very traditional, a very finely detailed room. When it was originally done, it sort of walked away from that when they converted it. But it does show you the dance floor. It also shows a little bit of the stage in the corner. All those elements are being restored. And the only thing in here that we did put in off of these photographs was the same company that did the restoration looked at these photographs and based on them put together new chandeliers that look somewhat similar to this. These chandeliers were long since gone. We couldn't find any parts or pieces, so we did the best we could coming out and looking at these photographs, and they did come out very well. We're very happy with those. This is how it looks today with those chandeliers, with the ceiling totally repainted. When you go in and see this, the pictures really don't do it justice. This entire ceiling is all plastered, and if you sit down and look at it, you would swear it's wood. It's all been faux green. Kat will touch on that. And then our big issue bringing it back was our hand paintings at these locations in the ceiling, which were hidden for years with glued on acoustic tile. And when we brought the tile down, the pucks of glue would take the plaster down. So when we did that, we had a room that was full of pot marks. We had to plaster that. We had to fix all the plaster that was broken, which we had mechanics on site that actually did all of their castings on site. And then we could start. We've been there since. When did you guys start?
I remember, but I think that the plaster guys are there from August.
Yeah, they started August 1st, so it's been almost a year now. And this goes a little bit more detail, and you'll see the colors. I mean, again, this entire room was painted white. They had a sale on white paint, and they really cleaned them out. And this shows a little bit. This actually was taken today. We have restored, and these are original elements that we reproduced, the railing and banister on the band stage here. And this was where there was a set of stairs that went down to the dance floor in the center. We took those out, and this is where the head table for the restaurant was. So we're bringing the head table back along with these banisters. After they're all locked in and they're done drying, tomorrow they'll be prepped and they'll be painted to look just like the columns and the rest of the stone in this room. This is a close-up, and Kat can give you more detail on it, but this is the painting of our 4 sirens. This is two of them that are in our ceiling, and they were also restored after we fixed the plaster and brought them back. This is the committee room. This is in back of the check-in desk. It was a group of offices at one time, and this is our speakeasy area. So it's a small room that we have that we set aside for small groups, and then when we have the other area closed, we can open this up for various functions. These are the room floors, and the first thing that I learned in hospitality years ago is in hotels, it's all about the guest rooms, and any hotelier will tell you that. So what we proposed early on and had discussions with SHPO and the interior department was, if you want this building to be saved, we need new rooms, and that's what all the blue is throughout. The yellow here are the corridors, and the corridors are being restored to historic levels. So all the corridor ceilings are back to their original height. Excuse me. The doors, as I said, the servitors are all being restored, and that's another item that Stickley is doing. We take the mahogany doors down, we ship them to Stickley's factory here locally. They restore them, rework them for the new hardware, because you'll have the latest locks that you can put your smartphone in front of and open up the door. And then they come back and they're being rehung right now. And Mrs. Audie told me that, in the factory right now, it's sort of a fight to see who gets to work on these things and say that they had part of this project. But again, it's a pride that people have in doing it. The rooms themselves are, for the most part, 2-for-1, as I call them. So there used to be a wall right through the middle here, and we just opened that up. It's an all-new construction from the quarter wall to the outside wall. We have to honor the windows, we have to honor the doors, but everything in between was torn apart and redone. And it needed it. The last time the bathrooms had an upgrade was 1924 when they were put in. This is how our quarters started like. They look a lot better these days. This is a photograph of how they're coming with the carpet and the doors refinished and put in, and our decorative lighting and period lighting. This is how the rooms start. Pretty attractive, huh? Thing when we got them out. No, they won't look like this. But they were spacious rooms, comfortably and attractively furnished. I particularly like this one because of the TV. When we first acquired the project, we had a little over 600 TVs in the hotel. Nobody had taken them away. Try getting rid of 600 TVs. It's a lot of fun. This is a plan of the room, shows the way it is. These are the new bathrooms on both sides right here, showers throughout, new vanities. And this is a king and a double combination. These were for our mock-ups, or our experimental rooms, as you like to call them sometimes. But they show you basically the layouts of the 2-for-1. And then to go forward, this is how the new bathroom looks. This is the new vanity. And what's been done now, this piece right here is being made by Stickley's contract division, and there's other pieces throughout here. Anything that has wood on it is pretty much a Stickley product in these rooms. And this shows a little bit of the king. This was a setup photograph that we use, obviously. This was a typewriter that we found down in the basement. Still works. This is a double, and this basically shows we have a lot of double queens in this hotel. Basically because we are the headquarters hotel for the convention center, and people that go to conventions double and triple book together. So the other side of this room, as they would say, is our pull-out sofa, and you can see a much more contemporary flair to the rooms. We like to play that game between the two. That you got an old historic hotel, and then you got this nice contemporary room to go into that we softened a little bit. And the artwork that you see here are all photographs and paintings that we're reproducing from OHA. We have a great partnership with OHA. We have access to their archives. We try to tell the story of our city within the room and within the halls of the hotel. So the rooms have 3 themes for artwork: the railroads, the Erie Canal, and the salt industry. So that's what we have in there. And then the quarters actually tell the story of the hotel itself and its construction and some of the people that worked in it over the years. This is looking at the ballroom floor, or our 10th floor of the hotel. And in here, just to remind everyone, this is pre-function, elevator lobby, the Empire Room, which is the junior ballroom, the grand ballroom, which is a signature of George B. Postman's, by the way. Our kitchen area is back here. We will have restrooms up here now for a change. There was all of 4 water closets on this floor. I don't think they drank much back in the time. And then our boardrooms in these areas, go all the way around. And all of this floor, except for the kitchen and the new men's and ladies' rooms, is all being restored to historic levels. So this is another floor that's very public, and that the interior department and SHPO wanted basically to look like the way it was when the building was originally done, or at least get it close to that, depending on their budgets. This shows how the Grand Ballroom looked, and some of the features here that are being reproduced are the sky ceiling. It's arched here. These three chandeliers have all been restored. They've been brought back. Their original colors and patina, and all of the pieces of crystal have been restored. We thought we were doing pretty good with the crystal. We didn't think there was a lot of missing pieces until the contractor called us and said, yeah, we're going to have to do about 2,000 to 3,000 missing pieces of crystal for your chandeliers. That was a lot. And then the balconies are on the side. We're going to raise the railings on this to meet new codes. And in back of here, which used to be the production booth, we actually built a stair from this floor all the way down to Harrison Street because of the exiting criteria that we needed to do. When this is done, we will meet all the codes. We ask for no variances on this building. It will meet all current codes throughout. It'll meet Marriott life safety standards because they require that, plain and simple. And the building will be 100% sprinkled and have all the ratings in it. So it'll be the same as a new build. This is what they did to the Grand Ballroom. Again, white paint, except for the copper that they painted the frieze that goes around there. And I think this is taken today. So this is a little shot of our sky ceiling and also of the new frieze. You can see how that stands out in some of the new coloration coming into that room. Like I said, I'm not very long because you got to come see it. Yeah. This is a picture of the chandeliers being redone. This is only half of the chandelier. They were too big for the factory here, so they do in halves. There's another whole bottom half of this that comes onto it. And this is really all original finishes. So the greens that you see and a lot of the golds were what they found under the old paint that they put on it over the years. And this is what the bottom half looks like dressed with the crystal on. And this is the upper half dressed with all the crystal, and again, you're missing the bottom half of it. They're up there now. They actually go up next week. They go back up and they're home for another 90 days. This is the plan of that floor, which we went over before. This is the 11th floor plan, which is where we do a few things to enhance our social catering business. Our presidential suite is in this location at the prow. Now the prow is a little difficult situation for any designer because it's an odd shape and it's where all the suites have been for the hotel from its first days of inception. And in this area, the presidential suite is all new. We gutted it, and that's all new partitions and finishes. It will be a true presidential suite with 2 master bedrooms, a 3rd bedroom, and then 3 other attached bedrooms if they're so desired. If not, they're lockouts. To a butler's pantry. So to go for a 4 diamond status, which is what we want, there's certain things you have to do in the audit. This is one of them. As far as coming up in this location right here, we've got our exercise facility. So you're overlooking the city, and people like to exercise now. And this will be Marriott's latest state-of-the-art, all bells and whistles, driving me crazy exercise facility. And then this location right here is the bride's area, the groom's area, a rotunda, and also a makeup area. So that we do about, on a good year, we should be doing about 200 weddings in this hotel. Which, to give you a point of reference, a normal hotel like this in a major city would do about 50. So that's how much more. So we wanted to make sure that we gave, as I say, the kit of parts for people so they could keep building on that and have a great experience. So the brides will be in here, and you can see some areas for them to sit. This whole wall is a makeup wall. It has 4 stations. They can have their hair done and everything else in there. And then in this location is the groom's area. You'll notice the only thing there is a bar. This location, in the center section right here, we have this will be originally, back in the day, these were rooms. Then it became Coach Mac's apartment back in the day. When we gutted it, we found a space that was quite dramatic and 2 stories with a gabled steel truss roof system. That will be our third outlet or venue for food and beverage. That will be our steakhouse. This is the concepts of the steakhouse. It gives you a little bit of the layout. Just the center, a nice bar area to the left, the seating area of the bar, and then also the seating around. And what we like to do here again is we want to take advantage along the perimeter of all the views, because you're up 11 stories, so you look over the Syracuse University Hill area and a lot of the medical district over there. The outside elevations, a little bit different. We did change how we wanted to do this. This was playing too much on history. That's not where we wanted to go. But it does show the new entrance or the restored entrance here, revolving doors, etc. That'll be our main entrance on Onondaga Street. Kind of clean up. All new storefronts throughout. We had a little bit of a delay, but almost all the stone on this project came from Italy. The good news was most of the quarries were still open, so we could order new stone. The bad news was they just take forever to get over here. But it is here, and we're cutting it right now and moving forward. And as far as this, I put this in to show that because of the stature of this architectural firm and who they were, they did quite a bit of work, and also had all their drawings preserved when they finally closed their doors in the 60s. So we don't guess. We call up the New York Historical Society, tell them what we need. These are actually copies of some of our drawings, and they are really more pieces of artwork than they are anything else back in those days. The detail is quite amazing. And when we're done, this is how we hope that the Marriott Syracuse downtown will look, a little bit from the corner of Salina, Onondaga, and Harrison Streets, and with the Marriott sign and logo up in the top. I will conclude and give it to Kat. She will tell you how we did all this artwork.
Hi there, I'm Katrina Spilio. I don't know how I'm going to call it that. I'm very privileged to have been part of this project. It was an exceptional project and continues to move forward towards its completion. But I don't know how to do this. Okay. I was very fortunate to be part of it. And as Mary Beth mentioned, I've had a lot of experience, about 30 years experience in public space art. Perfect. In public space art myself. But this was really an exceptional project because of its magnitude. So many hundreds and thousands of square feet of surface area to cover. What I'm going to talk about is really the whole restoration process, how we ended up, what the methodology is, how we begin to even figure out what it should look like, especially with the hotel that has been covered up with lead paint, I might mention, that we had to do a lot of lead abatement for. The codes that had to be followed were very strict. And so I'm going to talk about that and what the discovery process is. And then I'm going to talk about all of the decorative finishes that we used to recreate the hotel as it was. As an example, there's the artwork, which you see an example of over there. There's also faux scagliola, faux marble, faux wood graining, stenciling, and of course conservation. Now, what faux means for people who don't know what faux means, it actually means phony in French. And so it's really to trick the eye and to make it look like it's something it isn't. So in the case of the Hotel Syracuse, we had a lot of faux wood graining. So all of the stuff on the ceiling and all of the columns and everything are really plaster. And the bit that I didn't really cover in my presentation is the historical plaster, which was really a whole nother feat. They had to create molds of all of the broken pieces of plaster. This is just the beginning of it, and then recreate it and attach it and pour it in exactly the historically precise manner that they used to make it in 1924. So, for example, they would use plaster of Paris and they use something to imitate horsehair, which is what was used back then, to recreate it in a historical way, and then reattach it to the pieces that were missing. And let me tell you, there were lots of pieces. This area over here, you can see, is one of the murals that I recreated, like that one over there. That's a different image. This one has some apples and stuff. But in this particular case, it was also overpainted. So the hotel in general, there were some areas that had been walled off, and so they ended up being somewhat more pristine. And that was our point. That was my point of reference. That was really where I was going back to look at the colors and what style artwork they were using. Because this one in particular, for example, this color and this color was overpainted above what was done in 1924, and that's why it's peeling also. I mean, that's one of the reasons it's peeling. So this was all painted in. It's sort of like painted in between the decorative work, and not very well, I might add. So part of it, that was part of the discovery, was to kind of try to figure out what was 1924, what was 1930 something or other, or 1937, what was later on. So this was one of the murals right here that we were able to find in a more pristine way. So once we did find that, the next step was, okay, great, we've got this mural, but it kind of looks like this. Is that really real? So you have to start revealing what is underneath there. So the first part of every project is to figure out what the layers are. The Hotel Syracuse had a lot of grime and a lot of nicotine, and they also had that boiler that Ed was talking about that created a lot of charcoal air that just made everything very brown. And there were also layers of paint and glue and acoustical tile that had been painted, had been adhered on top of the murals, I guess in an effort to modernize it in some way, shape, or form, but it certainly didn't really make it look better. It's a shame. So one of the technical terms is exposure. So those are windows. So in any restoration, we create exposures. And they're little windows into the past that are stripped and cleaned, and we can say, okay, this is what we're going to base our artwork and our finishes on. So right here, for example, you could see this was a giant area of plaster that had been removed. This is all nicotine and grime. And as we cleaned it, and honestly, you probably, you don't even really, if you had seen it in person, it was much brighter and much closer to that. It was also oil paint. So oil paint over time yellows, and so part of the restoration plan was that when we recreated the colors, we would make them somewhat brighter and less yellow in order to counteract this passing of time that happens on oil paint. So all in all, we had 44 different coffers that had artwork in them. 44. And that didn't include the portions that were just decorative borders. I didn't even count those. I couldn't even imagine counting those. I just gave up on that one. Because we knew what we were going to do, but the artwork ones were 44. So this is a better understanding of what it looked like before, with the peeling and the grime and the nicotine, and after the cleaning. However, that's only the tip of the iceberg, because, okay, we got to this, but then we also have to recreate, we have to repair the damage, we have to recreate the murals, and there are 44 of them, and that doesn't include the larger murals. So the decision was made that and then this is more discovery. One of the ways I found what was under all those layers was studying the historical photos that existed. So I think I have one here. So over here, you can't really see it very well, but I noticed in that section over there that, hey, that mural looks slightly different than the other ones that we've uncovered. It seems like it has a different type of pattern. So we went back to that area in the lobby and we started to strip. And I did this regularly, like whenever I studied the pictures closely to make sure that there wasn't anything we were missing. And so we found this area that, of course, had been painted over white, but it turned out it had been painted over twice. So you could see there's that peach paint first that it was painted over, and then they painted everything on top with white. So that was stripped, and that was cleaned. And then in order to reproduce all of the murals, we took tracings of the originals. Because a lot of them were so damaged and there were pieces missing, we had to rely on the ones that were in good shape to inform the style that we were going to use for all of them. And then from these tracings, recreated the various murals from scratch. From the beginning. So these are the historical photos. I think we saw better ones earlier. But they really did give a lot of information about what the original finishes were. We could see what was gold. We could see there were obviously, portions that we found, but the photos also were extremely helpful. But that was only the beginning, because once I really analyzed everything, I realized that there were 15 different decorative finishes. 15. It wasn't just the 44 murals that we had to recreate. I had wood graining in the lobby that was one color. I had wood graining in the Persian terrace that was a different color. There was stenciling. Oh wait, I have it right here. 3 different murals in the lobby area. 3 different glazed borders around all of these murals, right? We had yellow, we had a gold, a coral, and a green. And that was ragged on. It wasn't just painted on. This was a decorative finish. 2 different types of wood graining in the lobby and the Persian terrace. 3 different types of faux stone. We have faux marble in the lobby area. We have faux sandstone in the Persian terrace. And we also have faux scagliola on the column. Scagliola is a type of plaster that is made to mimic marble. And so we had to, in both cases, both in the faux scagliola, it was originally scagliola, but it was impossible to repair it and have it look the same. So instead, in that particular instance, we created a faux finish that imitated the faux scagliola. Yeah, exactly. It's ironic. And then, in the Persian terrace, originally the sandstone columns were a precast stone. So it was precast with the color imbued into it, and then they were built into the Persian terrace. However, once again, it was so damaged and so impossible to get all of the paint that was on top of these precasts that we once again created a faux finish to match the precast sandstone columns. There was gold over glazing, which I think you saw a really nice picture of. There's beautiful stenciling on the ceiling of the Persian terrace, and then of course 2 giant murals. This is the condition. This is one of the stencils. This is the condition the ceiling was in, and this is actually a good portion of it. Those spots are the areas where the glue was put on for the acoustic tile. This is original wood graining and glazing. So I keep So you can see over here, maybe the picture doesn't show it so well, but this is a faux wood grain. This is also a faux wood grain. That's in the lobby. And then you can see the detailing, the gold and glazing on top. This is the mermaid mural, the split-tail mermaids that are in the Persian terrace. This is the condition they were in. This is the flocking from the back of the acoustic tile. When we would try to remove it, the plaster would come off. In as many cases as possible, we would try to remove, we would get it down to this. That was our best case scenario. So all of the areas that were damaged had to be replastered. This is before it was cleaned, actually. This portion is cleaned. So they were replastered and restored. This is just an area. Again, this is before, and this is after it was cleaned. It was cleaned before they removed it, so that the plaster would adhere, because there was so much grime on the ceiling that if you try to plaster first, like if you remove the glue and then tried to plaster in the spots, the plaster really wouldn't stick. And then there was a worry that perhaps some of these, cleansers that we use, they can be kind of deep searching, and there was the concern that they would get underneath and destabilize the ceiling. So the decision was made to clean it before they removed it all. So this mermaid mural is fall and winter, before it was cleaned and restored. And it was an allegory. So this one, there was two actually. This one was spring and summer, and this is fall and winter. And when you go to the Hotel Syracuse downtown Marriott, you will see it in its beautiful restoration. It looks really stunning. This is one of the lobby reception murals. And again, more lobby murals in the condition they were in. This one in particular was in terrible shape. It had apples. So they were just completely recreated. They were just too badly damaged. So this one was the one you saw previously, but recreated, made new. And so part of what we did in order to expedite the process of creating 44 different murals that were going to go up into the ceiling was we created the 4 original murals that existed, and then they were sent to an art printer. So each one was recreated as a giclée print on canvas, looking exactly like the original, the colors matching, and that is what was installed in the ceiling, because otherwise it would have been impossible to really do this in a timely manner. This is the reception mural in progress. This is the new lobby mural completed and ready to be sent to the printer. And this is the reception ceiling, again in progress. It's still missing the borders that were eventually installed. And these were the other coffers I was talking about earlier. All of these coffers have 3 different glazes on them. So they have a gold glaze, a coral glaze, and a green glaze. I mean, it's astounding how much work was done. And actually, the thing that I think is really funny is that in that time, the reason they used plaster instead of marble and wood and all that is because it was cheaper. It was less expensive. It was less expensive to hire workers, artists who could paint into the ceiling and make it look like wood than it would have been to actually pay for wood beams that were carved. And this is again the lobby ceiling in progress. These are the faux stagliola columns. This is the faux wood graining. These are the murals installed all the way down, and the coffers are still in progress. And here's the Persian terrace with the mermaids restored. The wood grain is all done over here, but it's still waiting. In this photograph, it's still waiting for the glaze, the gold glaze. That's the gold glaze. It still hasn't gotten the stencils on top, which are now, they've been put in now. And this is the faux sandstone. This was all precast, as I mentioned. And that's the end of my presentation.
So now you get to harass us. Questions, so have at it.
Incredible work and incredible courage you guys have had restoring this whole thing. There's been a split between the communities about whether this could actually be done. So I have a question regarding that. First, will there be Wi-Fi? What's the password?
There'll definitely be Wi-Fi, and you'll get the password when you check in and we get your credit card.
You mentioned $71 million as the cost to restore the building. If you were to build an equivalent 12-story, not a white kind, but a similar kind of quality elsewhere in downtown Syracuse, what kind of cost would you be looking at building new versus what you spent on the restoration project?
You know, that's a great question. How much would a new hotel be to do this? Actually, not much cheaper than this. Given new construction, given the foundation issues that we have in downtown Syracuse, basically all of downtown Syracuse, the most part of it is built on swamp. So you have to go with deep foundations, which adds tremendously to the cost. I think the problem that they were having is, when they wanted to build the new full-service hotel over at the convention center, was they couldn't get the initial cost down enough to make sense. So you're probably looking in this case at a light type of hotel, which would not have anywhere near the amount of square footage of ballroom space. I mean, you would have ballroom space, but you'd have one minor ballroom, and you wouldn't have near the level of finish that you have here. But that would probably be, I would say, about $10 million less, give or take, than what this restoration is.
I have a lot of good memories of the hotel, as I'm sure a lot of other people here do. So I want to thank you for having the courage to do this and restore it so we can all enjoy it again. With the gala that you're having, your retirement party, not all of us can budget for that. Are you going to be having some sort of tours when it opens to show them?
That's a great question because we've talked a lot about that. You have to sort of live or walk what you speak, and there will be not only tours but there'll be an open house. We believe that people should come down. There'll be a little bit of a PR thing too because we're going to want you to try things and come back and all that. And that's probably the biggest message I can give right now is the fact that it's great to restore this. It's great to go through all this work, but unless the community comes back and utilizes it and gives us your credit card, it'll just go away again. So, it is an active hotel. It is a hotel that will have a lot of business travelers through it. It will have a lot of social catering. But even before we get there, we're going to have a series of open house so that people come down, walk through it, look at it. The first of that actually occurs, I think, in a couple of weeks with the downtown living tour. And we're actually opening our doors to the lobby and to walk through and see the Persian Terrace, the lobby, the Finger Lakes Ballroom, so that you can see them sort of as a pre-look at and see what it is. Now, they won't be furnished, won't be done, but it'll give you, a little bit of an idea. So we definitely know that not everybody can come to the gala and the retirement party, so we'll make sure that there's more than one occasion you come down and look at the hotel.
In other urban areas, when a hotel is restored, it's had a domino effect throughout the neighborhood. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, it's a little too early. We it sort of looks like the bomb went off down there right now, so it's hard to say that. But no, I've already heard that, for instance, rents people are asking for around the hotel in downtown have went up significantly. We've seen some other spin-off type activity down there, and it's going to anchor that in the downtown. It did for a long time. It'll come back. Some of the things, our average length of stay, and it varies with hotels, but because we're a convention center hotel, is about 2.5 nights. Okay, and with that, you're happy if you get dinner just one night in the hotel, because let's face it, we all stay in hotels. We're going to go to a hotel restaurant every night. I'm not expecting you to do that. So just that alone, if we can get more restaurants down there, that's good for that area, because people can walk out, go to dinner, come back, and experience the city.
One of the final slides, you showed a picture of the Short Hotel looking up Onondaga Street towards the newer angular addition there. Did I detect some architectural elements that were at a cupola or something?
Yes.
There?
Well, we're looking at a couple. I sort of backed off on the cupola on the front for the time being, because I've got another idea of what I'd like to do there at some point in the near future. So it is being totally changed. That is going to be a clock tower. It's just I've got some other ideas that I'd like to sort of explore before I go put a cap on it, and then I have to take it off to do the next level.
The tower across the hotel, is that going to be restored?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah, at some point.
As a hotel? Or
Always ask me this question. You'll know very shortly, but yes, it will be.
The streets are going to be redone around the hotel in preparation for the traffic that will be coming through there. And the water system underneath that address.
Everything's been addressed one way or the other, I can tell you that. It's in partnership with the city, we actually put in a new water line all the way down Onondaga. We really didn't feel that a fountain in the middle of the street 2 days after opening, which we know exactly that's when it would happen. It was a good idea. In that partnership, the city actually gave us the materials. We provided the contractors to do the work. So that's been done. We went through and looked at all the sewers around the building and TV them to make sure they're in good shape. And we're going through redoing, obviously, all the street lighting. We're putting in a new traffic signal at the corner of Harrison and Warren Street. We did convert the block of Warren Street in front of the hotel to two-way, so our valet parking can do a short run over to the Harrison Street garage, which is a newer garage. It's in great shape, and again, with a partnership with the city, we're using that for our parking, and that's more than adequate.
I wonder how much you know about the artisans and the workers and the murals, and this must have been an incredible revelation as you were seeing different styles.
It's actually that's a good question. There were different styles, but the difference was it seemed like these murals, and you could tell from the brushwork. That's right, you can tell who's been doing what. These murals again were probably pounced. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but they would take a tracing and they'd pounce a design on, and then different artisans. So what ended up happening was, one mural would have the flower looking slightly different than the other. And of course, because each one was an original piece, one leaf mark was slightly different than another leaf mark, but it was essentially the same design. It seemed like it was a different artist who did the mural above the reception desk, and a totally different artist did the mermaid murals. But we had no signatures. This is just going from anecdotal evidence that I had just from brushwork.
I have two questions. One, I heard that the Gargoyle Museum will be restored, so I want to hear about that. And the second is, are there tunnels underneath Syracuse Hotel that lead to other places?
Okay. First thing I want to clarify one thing. Pounce, for us that don't have her level of technical expertise, is paint by numbers. I had to get that out there. It's okay. Because that's how I paint, so we're all set. As far as the gargoyles are concerned, their demise has been greatly exaggerated. They will be coming back. They were actually made out of between 4 and 6 pieces of terracotta that were put together and then had a concrete interior to them that bound them together. which was a great idea 94 years ago or so. But the water got in and they were held together with baling wire. So they were pretty much gone. So what we did is we took the two that were in best shape, brought them down. They were a little bit difficult to get down. They weighed 3,000 pounds apiece to come down. And we took the two that were in best shape, shipped them out. We had an artist, a sculptor, touch them up to make them look like the unicorn actually, got the horn back. The lion got some of their mane back, and then they're being recast and put together as FRP, or fiberglass reinforced pieces, and then they'll be full painted to look like the original terracotta. So when they go up, first of all, they'll look very similar, and they are coming back. And the second thing is, if they were to ever fall down, they won't be 3,000 pounds, which is going to be a lot better, because they're going to go up in the elevator, and two guys will go up and set them. Well, in 1960s, there was a tunnel that was built between, at the time, the Money Tower Garage and the hotel. That's still there. It's not a place where I like to bring guests, to tell you the truth. It hasn't been touched since 1960 either. But it's still there. I think at some point we'll look at that and see how we want to connect over to the Money or the AXA Garage now. The problem with that, and the biggest issue, is it does connect on the other side of the AXA Garage to the tunnel that connects the Civic Center with the War Memorial with the Convention Center. So it sounds initially like, oh, what a great thing, you can walk underground all the way over there. Well, once you get out of the tunnel on our side, you have to walk through the parking area to get through it. It's not, there's a path stripe, but it's not there. But the bigger problem is when you get to the county side of the garage, there's stairs there. There isn't a ramp for handicapped accessibility. So, it's going to take a lot of people sort of sitting down saying, what do we really want to do with this, and how do we want to make it work, if they want to make it work. I think the other thing is, nowadays, people are much more used to walking outside, and, we're only a block and a half away from the convention center. It's not like you got to walk from here to Rochester. And, I think that we're looking at right now doing enhancements to the neighborhood group that we have there, which is really the convention center district, to make enhancements to Harrison Street so that guests easily can go up in that area on street level and have amenities, maybe some covers and stuff to do that. So we're looking at it. But yes, is there a tunnel there? There's also some other tunnels that were that connected utilities and stuff, but we closed those off.
It's really nice to see you in person, and I'm representing the town myself, but local musicians about town. And I was wondering if you were going to have Steinway concert bands in the hall. And will you be having that kind of live entertainment throughout? I used to play in the lobby.
Okay. I have your letter and your offer.
Marvelous place to be in that lobby, and then people from all over the congregation there, and a comfortable place for perhaps people who are single. It is not like going to a bar. You're going to have that kind of atmosphere.
Absolutely. First of all, the two Steinways, the baby grands that were there, we have them both are undergoing restoration right now. One of those, one will go up on the 10th floor of the Grand Ballroom area. The other one actually is going to go into the presidential suite in one corner of that. We think that's a nice amenity to have in there. In the lobby, we have already acquired another antique grand piano for the lobby that we got. And that's already been restored, and that'll be delivered in a couple of weeks. So it definitely is our intent. I didn't have three pianos just to look at them, believe me. Is to have somebody play them. And it's not going to be me unless you want to hear chopsticks. That's all I'm saying.
After this project is completed, do you have any other ideas?
Vacation, maybe? No, I'm very fortunate, as I said. I've got a great team of people that are working on this. I did set up another company to do some projects. I'm looking at them now, and I intend, I'm back home, which I haven't been really full-time back home. I've never moved away. I've always had a residence here over the last many years of traveling. But I've been back home and not on an airplane now for a very long period of time, which is great. I didn't realize it was like that on an airplane. And, I enjoy it, and this is my community, and I want to keep going and do some things. So I'm excited about that. And I brought my son in. My youngest son is part of that team, along with some people that have worked for me in the past. So I'm very excited about it.
How do you get a booking?
How to get a booking? Marriott.com. Yeah, so July 4th on right now. There are limits on booking, and there are also, believe it or not, we're sold out a couple of weekends already, right after we open, with groups that are coming in and the like. So the inventory may be limited. Some dates that people really want. I'm surprised nobody's asked the question yet. St. Patrick's is a block out, or the parade weekend is a block out. We're going to have packages for that. And the other big block out is New Year's Eve. We will have packages for New Year's Eve. That's going to be announced probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks for that. So the old New Year's is coming back, and I will again be thrown out on the St. Patrick's Day weekend. So. Oh, it depends on configurations and the like. The grand ballroom comfortably is, I think it's around 500. Now I'm going off of my memory here, so careful a little bit on this. Persian Terrace, depending if you use the dance floor or not. With the dance floor, comfortably around 280 in that range. If you use a dance floor, you're probably looking at more in terms of 380 to really cramming people in 400. And you can get, for like a large luncheon or something in the Finger Lakes Ballroom, you can get about 700 to 750. So on a busy Friday night during the holiday season, we will put out for dinners around 1,400 dinners in a night. So we got a pretty big kitchen and a lot of cooks and all that kind of stuff. As far as jobs for people, so counting a person, there'll be close to 300 people working there. That's going to come out to about 200 FTEs or full-time equivalents because a lot of people don't work full-time at hotels. So about that. So far, we've had a lot of full-time positions filled, so we're pretty excited about that. And that doesn't include some of the spin-off areas. Our valet parking service that's not in that. They'll actually be working for the hotel with a related entity. Same thing with Cafe Cabal and some of those. So, it's a big economic generator. And it also doesn't include the spin-off that we've had for like the laundry. We're not going to do the laundry in-house. So the company that we went to do our laundry, imagine if we have a lot of laundry to do every day, actually we're going to add jobs and do a small expansion on their plant to handle it. So we're going to do long-term contracts. So there's a lot of spin-off that we do. Our orders, again, from our end, the culture that we're trying to create is look locally first, for anything, for buying food, for doing laundry, for whatever. Look locally first and then go from there. Yes?
Because of the age of the hotel and also upstairs, did you encounter a lot of difficulty in trying to put in all the handicap requirements?
Well, it wasn't easy. Again, I think as I said before, I don't think they believed in exits back in the 1920s. I know they didn't believe in toilets back in the 1920s, and handicap wasn't on anybody's radar screen. But the building now, with the addition of an elevator and 2 wheelchair lifts, will be 100% accessible, and then all our room product will be up to modern ADA standards in terms of both accessible rooms at different levels. And what I mean by that is you'll have fully accessible with a roll-in type of shower for a wheelchair, and then you'll step back from that to have hearing impaired, partially accessible, sight impaired type of rooms. So there's a whole gamut of how you have to design that, and then also each type of room has to have ADA, rooms associated with it. So if you have a suite, for instance, they can't all be, just typical. You have to have a suite that's comparable, that is 100% accessible. So across the board, again, this is part of Marriott and ensuring the quality of the product. Marriott requires us to have 100% accessibility and to meet all the latest ADA compliance criteria, which we will meet when we open.
What would be the average cost of double?
Well, ADR as it's called right now. Our ADR, and we're running in the 160 range for it. That's a blended rate, because it's all over depending on, the week that this SU students come back in. We obviously greet them with a nice rate. Or at least their parents. If their parents can afford it, we figure that can take a room too. So that's part of it. But blended rate 160. One of the things that we were very, very straight up with everyone about is this is Syracuse. If we were to do this project in Boston, your ADR would probably be in the 400s, and you wouldn't have to have a flag on it. You could do it as an independent. So it's a big difference. But Syracuse, we have to have a flag. We need the reservation system to get into it, and it's a Syracuse market. So we're not going to get $300 a night or $400 a night. So we were realistic, and again, that's part of building the financing on this and having all the involvement by all these entities to, as I say, sort of pull the oars in the same direction so we don't get hit over the head and the sharks eat us. One over here somewhere.
Will it be smoke free?
All Marriott hotels are smoke free, except for the standpoint that they say that for their guests that do smoke, there has to be a designated covered area for them to go out and smoke. So that is Marriott's policy straight up all the way down.
There's another Marriott hotel down.
Yes.
Is that confusing?
First of all, it's not supposed to be a Marriott hotel. It's supposed to be a residence inn by Marriott and a courtyard by Marriott. We're having a discussion with them about that, if you can't tell. This is a full service Marriott hotel. It doesn't compete for the same guests that those two hotels compete for. This is the Marriott that we have is their flagship brand. This is what their company was built on, so they're very picky about them. And we are a business. We have three legs to our stool, as we like to say. We're a business transient hotel. Those are people that are on business trips that call up within 10 days. We do a ton of social catering. This hotel does about 2 to 3 times what a normal hotel would do in social catering, and that's all the events and banquets and things that you have. And then the third leg of the stool is to be the convention center, headquarters hotel. So between those three, let's say groups coming into it, we don't really compete as much with those two hotels. I'll go there first. Yeah.
Is there a gift shop in the hotel?
Absolutely. The gift shop is actually a partnership between us and OHA. We're doing a coffee table book of all the artwork that's in there. We'll also have some of the things that they sell at OHA in our gift shop. We'll also have a museum room within the hotel at the mezzanine level where OHA is putting things into it, we're putting things into it, and you'll be able to see that. And then we're also working with OHA to have on a regular basis a guided tour of the hotel, both front of the house and back of the house, and explain how the hotel was built, what it was about, how it was restored, all those things. No, we decided early on that we wanted to control the sidewalk, so to speak, around us. So that was one main reason to do that. The other reason we found out was for years people have tried to put restaurants up on the lobby level, and for some reason people in Syracuse don't like to walk those stairs, so they never did well. So we put all the F&B or restaurants down on the ground floor. Our biggest concern was to animate all the area around the hotel all the time and sort of control our destiny and not have spaces go dark and stuff. Let the other people have, as you were asking before, sort of have the uptick in terms of retail and stuff around it. Yes? We're looking at the steakhouse opening around October 1st. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed and Katrina, for joining us today. We're so grateful to you for sharing your time and insight with us, and even more grateful that you chose Syracuse as the location of your latest project. We will all benefit from this renovation for years to come, and hopefully our children and grandchildren will be aware of the incredible amount of time and talent that has been invested in the historic hotel we all hold dear. Just a little postscript about our last speaker, Billy McBride. He was a Syracuse native who played pro football and basketball, and he ended up, now he is the athletic director at Amherst College in Massachusetts. While Billy was here, he did some motivational speaking at some of the schools in Syracuse. He visited Corcoran, Central Tech, Bishop Ludden, and H.W. Smith. And he is now working with these schools to create a conduit with Amherst College and the other colleges in the 5-college consortium in Western Massachusetts. So that's one, he'll be working with coaches, and he's going to be trying to create opportunities for Syracuse City kids. So, and pretty soon, I guess, we don't have a date for it, but there's going to be an article about him in the Post-Standard. So be looking for that. And we also learned today that Billy will officially be inducted into the Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame this fall. I'd like to remind everyone that you can sign up to join our listserv on the table by the stairs. You can also sign up to volunteer at future lectures or leave suggestions for future speakers or topics. Keep visiting our Facebook page for updates. If anyone needs an escort to their car, please let us know and we'll be happy to provide one. And thank you all for coming tonight.